Musk has long said that the main goal of SpaceX since its founding in 2002 has been to help make humanity a multi-planet species. The company has developed reusable Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets, as well as reusable Dragon cargo capsules and the new Crew Dragon ship for astronauts. It has launch pads in Florida, California, and now Boca Chica, where the company broke ground on its test site in 2014. And now, the billionaire has built a new spaceship in just 7 days. Stay tuned to find out all the recent developments that have happened with the development and launch of rockets into orbit. Musk's venture has put itself in a commanding position in the new commercial space industry with surprising speed. It is only 13 years since it became the first private company to launch its own rocket into orbit, breaking into an industry previously dominated by nation-states. It has also leaped ahead of contractors such as Boeing and Lockheed Martin, whose joint venture, United Launch Alliance, has carried the flag for U.S. space launch, though using Russian engines. SpaceX's ascendancy has been underlined over the past 6 months by a striking series of wins. They include a $2.9 billion contract awarded by NASA to use the Starship to land its astronauts on the moon as early as 2024. It was the space agency's decision to pick only one supplier for this program, after earlier indicating it would select two that brought the warning from Blue Origin. NASA officials pointed out that they have only awarded SpaceX a single mission, leaving them open to choosing other suppliers for future landings. But Blue Origin claimed that adapting its systems to work with the spaceship will force design changes that will lock the agency into dependence on SpaceX in the long term. Musk went on to upstage Bezos a second time late last month, just weeks before the Amazon founder and Sir Richard Branson had each made personal trips to the edge of space on their company's respected rockets. The brief moments they enjoyed in microgravity were eclipsed when SpaceX carried 4 passengers more than 5 times higher for a 3-day joyride around the Earth, making them the first all-civilian crew to reach space. SpaceX also announced the first 500,000 orders for its Starlink broadband network, making it the first in a new generation of broadband communication companies operating from a constellation of satellites in low orbit around 500 kilometers above the Earth. In addition, NASA said 2 astronauts who had been scheduled to fly on a Boeing spacecraft would be switched to SpaceX's Spaceship instead. The company that defined an earlier era of aerospace has hit too many technical obstacles to carry astronauts on its first commercially developed spaceship, putting it well behind what until recently was just a scrappy startup. The first orbital flight of SpaceX's Mars-bound Starship rocket will take place in January, Elon Musk has announced, and Starship SN-29 will be the most powerful rocket ever built when it lifts off in 2022 from Starbase facility in Boca Chica, Texas, with the SpaceX boss telling the National Academy of Sciences on Wednesday that it will have more than twice the thrust of the Saturn V rockets used to launch people to the moon during NASA's Apollo program. Musk revealed that the current configuration of 29 Raptor engines on the base of the Starship booster will be expanded to 33 for the orbital launch, making it the biggest rocket ever designed. Rocket science. The heart of SpaceX's spate of success is the Falcon 9, which has brought down the cost of reaching space and become a springboard both for the company's wider business and Musk's ultimate goal of reaching Mars. SpaceX's share of the global launch market, excluding China, climbed above 50% for the first time in the first half of 2021, according to Bryce Tech, space research and consultancy firm. And while China launched nearly as many rockets into space in that period, the US company lifted nearly 3 times as much weight into space. The tactics that turned the Falcon 9 into the era's most widely used rocket are now being applied to the Starship. They echo many of the things that also account for the breakout success of Musk's electric car company, Tesla. Foremost has been the success of Musk and SpaceX's Chief Operating Officer, Gwynne Shotwell, at pushing disruptive technologies into mainstream production. In the case of the Falcon 9, that meant using 3D printing for its engines, the most complex part of the rocket, and reusing the main booster for future launches. To master new technologies like these, SpaceX worked on almost every detail of designing and creating its own rockets rather than relying on suppliers, with Musk himself acting as a chief engineer in the early days to goad on his team. SpaceX also took on full development risk itself, rather than being able to fall back on guaranteed payments from NASA, forcing much greater financial discipline. As a result, The space agency estimates that the $400 million SpaceX spent to develop the Falcon 9 rocket was 10 times lower than the likely cost of the rocket built under traditional government contracting. Another advantage that SpaceX has shared with Tesla has been its ready access to cheap capital, thanks to high valuation investors have been prepared to put on its business. Musk has raised more than $6.5 billion for the company in the private market, lifting its valuation to $74 billion earlier this year. Share sales by some of its investors have since valued at more than $100 billion, according to CNBC. Most rivals have to generate cash from their existing businesses to fund new ventures, says Steve Collar, chief executive of satellite company SES. The ease with which SpaceX has been able to tap investors has opened the way for it to take much bigger risks, he adds. One result of ample cash, along with the company's access to its own launch service, has been Starlink, which has beaten would-be rivals like OneWeb and Amazon's Kuiper to launch its broadband service. Racing to be the first has involved technological gambles with its satellite designs, and Starlink is already on its third generation of technology. But even if it ends up writing off billions of dollars worth of satellites on the way to perfecting its constellation, the setback would not hurt the company the way it would a rival without access to such cheap capital. A Starship evolution. SpaceX's Starship concept has undergone a kind of rocket evolution in 3 years since Musk first unveiled it to the world in September 2016 at the International Astronomical Union meeting in Mexico. At that meeting, Musk unveiled what he called the Interplanetary Transport System, or ITS, for Mars colonization. The ITS called for a fully reusable spacecraft with 2 fins and a booster that would stand 400 feet, 122 meters, high when assembled. Its first stage would have 42 next-generation Raptor engines, and the booster would be 40 feet, 12 meters wide. The spacecraft would have 9 Raptors. SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets have 9 Merlin engines on their first stage. Falcon Heavy's first stages have 27 Merlins. Musk updated the design in 2017, calling it the Big Falcon rocket, or BFR for short. That plan called for a launch system that would stand 348 feet or 106 meters tall and 30 feet or 9 meters wide. Its booster would have 31 Raptor engines, while the spacecraft atop it would have 6. Then, in 2018, Musk unveiled yet another design, a sleek stainless steel spacecraft with 3 tail fins that would stand taller than its 2017 precursor, with a height of 387 feet. The spacecraft would still be powered by 6 Raptor engines, with up to 37 Raptors powering the booster, now called Super Heavy. The switch to 301 stainless steel from a lightweight but expensive carbon fiber composite material was a turning point, Musk said. The steel gets stronger the colder it gets, making it the perfect for flights in the cold depths of space. It also has a higher melting point, making it more resilient during the fiery re-entry through Earth's atmosphere. He also added that it is also way cheaper, about 2% the cost of carbon fiber, stating that steel was the best design decision on the whole thing. And this latest design has held to the present day. SpaceX is still shooting for a 387-foot tall Starship Super Heavy stack with 6 Raptors on the spacecraft. The number of engines on Super Heavy could vary from flight to flight. Musk said the rocket has space for up to 37 Raptors, and each mission will probably require less than 24. Starship will allow us to inhabit other worlds, Musk wrote on Twitter on September 27th, to make life as we know it interplanetary. With the design nailed down, SpaceX plans to move fast. Musk said that although it might sound totally nuts, he thinks the company would try to reach orbit in less than 6 months, provided the rate of design improvement and manufacturing improvement continues to be exponential. People could start flying on board the vehicle in the next year or so if the test program continues to go well, he added. That appears to be an extremely accelerated program, given that SpaceX has not yet launched astronauts on its Crew Dragon spacecraft for NASA. Now that you've watched the video, let us know what you think by leaving a comment in the section below.